Well, Jim, let's move on from there. Hold on. We have to move on. You know what that means. And let's get to some topics and questions.
I always have a movement whenever I hear that sound.
A lot of listeners have been sending over a variation of a question about this. Apparently, a Twitter account, JM Playground, tweeted out an image that says Chris Jericho's AEW deal ends December 2025. He's open to a WWE return, depending on the situation. And this tweet was liked by Chris Jericho. To be specific, Chris Jericho Fozzy on Twitter or Instagram, whatever this is. But this has, of course, started the conversation. There have been rumors that Tony Khan and Chris Jericho are not as close as they once were.
Oh,
That maybe Chris Jericho's return to AEW wouldn't work. That maybe Chris Jericho is a shrewd negotiator. And even if you're not negotiating with someone, it's nice to put it out there sometimes. There's been a lot of people saying a lot of different things.
He's open to it.
What do you think of this, of Chris Jericho liking this tweet or Instagram post, whatever it was? And also, secondly, in terms of the value of Chris Jericho, and all kidding aside and forgetting all the bad booking over the last long while, who gets more value out of Chris Jericho right now? AEW, where he finally exhausted their fan base not too long ago. So it'd have to be a completely different way of doing things. Or WWE, who loves signing up everyone they can who Tony Khan ever pushed.
Well, lots of things there. And first of all, it was a few years ago that they were talking about Jericho signing a big 10-year deal with Tony. And because I remember we made fun of it. I said, he'll be 62 or whatever the fuck it was, right? So this was apparently some type of hogwash, or someone thought better of things before it went too far, whatever. But you remember that. And it wasn't like it was a rumor that people were denying. I can't remember who came out with it, but there was the actual participants, I believe, were talking about it. Were they not? Did I imagine this in some type of...
I don't know how much of this was a public conversation. I don't know.
But nevertheless, if Chris Jericho came back to AEW right now, what difference could it possibly make? It would make none. As you said, they've seen him, they've overseen him. There's nothing, he's done so many new things that now it's just ridiculous that he's just the king of trademarks. And he's just changes for the sake of changing shit. And he's changed so much shit. And as we've said with the booking and or the fact that he however old he is right now, and etc., he's not going to mean anything. And if he and Tony aren't just buds still, that's, I assume, has he and Fozzy been on a worldwide tour of the Netherlands Antilles, or they're just keeping him off TV because his contract's about to be up and Tony doesn't want to face it like he does usually?
Maybe a mix of two, an endless tour of Fantasyland, and at the same time, Tony has new younger friends.
But that's well, still Chris could get a boob job, try to win him back. But no, so there's really, Tony has been paying him all this money and will continue to pay him money till the end of the year. Why would he pay him any more money when he ain't going to mean any difference? But over here on this other side of the street, you have this company that prints more money than the goddamn governments of many countries. And
who they then work with.
Yes, who they then get more of their money from. And he's new again to a vast percentage of the audience that they have that doesn't watch AEW and doesn't even know he's been wrestling. And you don't have him come out there and be a fucking weekly TV character. shocks everybody in the Rumble. Oh, look at Jericho, but that doesn't win it, but leads to something at WrestleMania. A couple more major matches through the next year, goes into the fucking Hall of Fame and sells bukus of merchandise along the way and afterwards. And there's millions of dollars for him to do 4 or 5 matches and TV promotion for same. What the and why wouldn't they do that? And it would work. And you don't seem too much, so it doesn't work. And it's literally worth millions of dollars to them in just a few shows, not to stick it to Tony Khan, but because it's worth millions of dollars in just a few shows at their level, at this scale now. It's insane. So, of course, he's going to do that, one would think, unless Tony wants to give him millions of dollars to stay home, because wouldn't you rather end your career doing something like that with the biggest stars in the business instead of showing up and playing with the fucking Buckaroos on Wednesday nights?
What do you think of the idea that he liked this?
I think because he liked it. That's what I'm saying. Of course he's going to do this. I'm sure he's already got it planned. If his contract is up the end of this year, he's not on TV at this point, and with the conditions that prevail that I just mentioned, I'm sure he has already planned this and possibly sent out thought waves that might be picked up somewhere on the other side of the ether, because it's perfect. And it's literally millions of dollars for very little work, as opposed to millions of dollars for aggravation probably every time you show up for work.
But if you're AEW, is this in a way one of those things where it's a win, but it appears to be another hit to AEW? Because in a lot of ways, AEW, if they wanted Chris Jericho, Tony Khan would open the checkbook and give Chris Jericho what he wants. You know, if Tony Khan wanted to keep Cody Rhodes, he would have kept Cody Rhodes. So if Chris Jericho leaves, it's because Tony strategically thinks it's okay to lose Chris Jericho. Is he wrong? For all the value he'll bring to WWE, would Tony be right to not give Chris Jericho a new multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract?
See, you're assuming that Cody, too, that it was the final figure on paper rather than the exchange.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he had the option.
No,
there was an option year for Cody.
He had the option to open the checkbook. If Cody didn't want to stay, I don't know if more money, we don't know that the money was the issue. I don't know if he said $20 million, well, maybe $20 million, but you know what I'm saying. The same thing here. If I'm Chris Jericho, oh God, I just had a shiver. But if I am Chris Jericho, again, I can work for this guy where, yes, he'll pay me a lot of money to stay home for long periods of time, but sooner or later, I'm going to have to show back up. I got to work with these numbnutses. I got to fucking, you know, it's going to expose me again because the ratings are going to go nowhere because of me, because they go nowhere because of anybody.
He gets a lot of money, doesn't work that many days, gets to work on all of his side projects, which may be compromised in some way or another if he goes to WWE.
Oh no, or that was Vince. They're letting people do shit now. They're, you know, I know one or two things about people that can do any goddamn thing they want to, as long as it's not wrestling or whatever. But that's the thing is he would be coming in as a name legend, finish out a few big matches, some television promotion with the highest ratings, the biggest visibility. We'll play your goddamn rotten music. We play everybody else's rotten music. Why wouldn't we play yours?
Retirement on SNL on Saturday night's main event, not on Saturday Night
Live. either one. Yes. You know, a big retirement, a Hall of Fame deal, several $1 million for when you do show up for work, which will be in limited numbers. you're with the biggest program with the widest fucking viewership and the biggest stars and the most history you have. And just here, do this. And they can make money on it by still giving him millions of dollars. And why the fuck wouldn't you do that? Or he can get millions of dollars, but he's going to have to go and be in the fucking, the Bush League or the fucking kids club, or, even if he has fun doing that stuff, it's still a small percentage of the viewership. So even if Tony wants to give him, I'll give you 10 million. Well, but they're going to give me 7, but I'd rather do that. So what's the fucking difference? I mean, it's
so. What do you think's more likely, Chris Jericho appearing at AEW All Out or Chris Jericho appearing at the WWE Royal Rumble?
Well, now hold on now. You keep giving these. I don't remember whether they're all in, all out, all poop,
September.
Whatever. What? No, if the contract is, what are you asking now? If the contract's up in December,
what's more likely, him appearing at the next AEW pay-per-view, All Out?
I see.
Or WWE Royal Rumble in January.
What about both? I'm not saying
that wasn't one of my options, but okay.
Well, I'm not saying that he will never appear for AEW again. It doesn't look like it. It looks like Tony's just freezing him like he does everybody else, but he might show back up. He might show back up and put somebody over. But if he showed up and did something, that might give also the other side the reason to believe, well, they're making another play for him, so we got to up our offers. So maybe he'll say, hey, Tony, I'll come put somebody over for you. He gets on that TV and the WWE offers him more money. Who the fuck knows? But I'm saying he's batshit crazy if he has the option to go to the WWE when his contract is up in December and he does not choose that option. Jesus H. Christ. He needs to get a new agent.